The history of Ferelden up to the occupation. Chapter 1. Ferelden, as we think of it now, did not exist before the Exalted Age. Instead, the valley was divided up into dozens of old Alamari clans. They warred constantly with one another over land, honor, the allegiance of the freeholders, and on one notable occasion, the name given to a favorite Mabari. And then, in the 33rd year of the Exalted Age, Calenhad Thurin became Terran of Denerium, and everything changed. Most of what we know about the founding of our nation comes from the old songs that the bards passed down through the ages. The songs are filled with wild exaggerations and outright lies, but this hardly differs from the scholarly papers of some of my contemporaries. There's no agreement among poets or scholars on how he did it. The Callan had gained the support of the Circle of Magi, and they crafted for him a suit of silvery white armor that by all accounts repelled both arrow and blade. Callan had led his army across the valley and captured Redcliffe, one of only 3 men who ever successfully laid siege to that fortress, and presented himself to the bands of the Landsmeet as their king. The poets tell us that every lord knelt before Calenhad without question. The fact that he attended the Landsmeet surrounded by ash warriors and loyal mages of the Circle is generally omitted from the ballads, however. Yep. From Calenhad came the line of Theran kings and queens who reigned, uninterrupted until the 44th year of the Blessed Age, when the Orlesian invasion came. The rightful king was forced to flee Denerium, and for 70 years a puppet sat upon the throne. From Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. Just curious, one last time.
Mother says you saved her. Father, too. She says you're a great hero.
Oh. If I was such a great hero, a lot of people would be alive who weren't. Curious. Okay.
Salutations, Grey Warden. We have been sent by the Circle of Magi to advise Redcliffe until more mages can arrive from the tower.
When will the rest of the mages arrive?
A number of our fellow mages still need time to recover from their ordeal. The first enchanter assures us that their circle will be ready to assist against the Darkspawn when the time comes.
It seems you're busy, but I'm going to ask you one last question. What kind of advice can you offer?
To be truthful, Grey Warden, the first enchanter sent us here to guard Van Tegan. If the Arl does not revive from his sickness, Van Tegan will need to take his place. And we must be careful that what happened to the Arl does not repeat itself.
Don't worry, he's feeling fine now. The Arl even is fine now. The waters of Lake Calenhead are steeped in legends. The Avar people say that it was once the site of Belanas, the mountain which stood at the center of the world from which Korth the Mountain Father surveyed the earth and sky. But it was destroyed in the battle between Korth and the serpent Nathramar, leaving only a vast crater behind. When the Lady of the Sky saw that Belanas was gone, she wept, and her tears filled the crater, making the lake. The Tevengers believed that the waters of Lake Calenhead were blessed by Razakal, god of mysteries, and that those who drank from them were granted special insights. This was why they built the great tower on an island in the middle of the lake, hoping the powers of the lake would aid their magical research. But most of us know the legend of King Calenhead, which gives the place its name. It is said that Calenhead Theron spent a year and a day in the Tower of the Magi. Each day he drew a single cup full of water from the lake and carried it to the Formari at the top of the tower. By magic, each cup of water was forged into a single ring of the mail armor the circle gave to Calenhead. In that armor, made from the lifeblood of the land itself, no blade could strike him, no arrow pierce him, so long as he stood in Ferelden soil. From Thedas, Myths and Legends, by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. Tattered shopping list. Sugar, wheat, flour, fillet knife. Ginger for grandpa's flatulence. Ink, cod liver oil, dried mushrooms, rouge, or lesion. Also remember to ask if more beeswax will be available soon. A note on crumpled paper.
On my way. Good.
Oh. Cautionary tales for the adventurous. It was then that he realized he wasn't alone. The abandoned camp in front of him was unbelievably welcoming, like a mirage. Oh, I know this. The fire felt like a warm hand grabbing his heart. It reminded him of a previous life so long ago when he was happy, running on the sunflower fields with his boy, the sun on his face, laying next to the fireplace with his beautiful wife in his arms. He felt a sharp pain in his heart. His thoughts shifted to that fateful day when everything changed. Blood was everywhere. He held the body of his dead wife in his arms. Around him, the ashes of his burned house felt like the snow. The stench was terrible. It smelled like darkspun. He grabbed his axe, touched the icy cold hands of his boy, and left. He would kill them. He would kill them all. The pain in his heart was unbearable. So, that's where we killed that shade in the Brazilian forest, the forest that claimed so many. He opened his eyes and saw the second most terrifying thing he would see in his life. And I bet that's where I got the Ash-Wraith axe. I remember finding an axe at that campsite in the Brazilian forest, too. A shadowy wraith leaning over him, leeching his life away. Around him the camp was gone, replaced by something familiar, almost peaceful. Bones, death, and despair. He wondered if all his life had been an illusion. If he'd ever had a family. For a brief moment he felt relief. You can't lose something you never had. But being this close to death brought clarity. He knew it was real. Everything else was the illusion. You could see the smile on his torn face. He'd been waiting for this moment for a long, long time. He lifted his weak arms, grasping the demon's face, and kissed it. It felt like kissing a cloud made of sand and dust. Suddenly all sorrow left him, and with it the last bit of life he had. Before his limp body hit the ground, it was over. He was finally free. From the Cautionary Tales for the Adventurous by Brother Ramos of Gilhern, 794 stone. Well, we did avenge him.
I shall.
And many others. Many others. Okay. Sorry, Jeddah.
These are terrible times. Just
There, and I'm sorry I'm not sure.
Dwarven crafts. Fine dwarven crafts.
Good job clearing those louts out.
Ah, Master Ignacio. It is said that at the Battle of Valerian Fields, Mathras stood and looked out over his armies. He had conquered the southern reaches of the greatest empire the world had ever known, and built splintered barbarian clans into a force to be feared. With pride in his heart, he turned to congratulate his men, and found that they had turned from him. Mathras fell to the evil of jealousy. After all that he had done, his wife was the one to receive all the glory. He saw his wife's power and influence and tired of his place as second husband, below the Maker. His heart swelled with fury. If he had conquered just to have his wife wrested from him by a forgotten god and a legion of faith-hungry rabble, then perhaps this war was not worth the trouble. Here history and the chant of light come apart. History tells us that Mathras looked north into the Central Imperium and saw nothing but more war against a rapidly regrouping army, and he despaired. The chant of life holds that Mathras chafed with jealousy of the Maker and jealousy of the glory that Andraste received, although it was he who led the armies. Mathras traveled to the imperial city capital of Minrathous to speak with the Archon Hessarian. There he offered up his wife to the Imperium in return for a truce that would end hostilities once and for all. The Archon, eager to put down the voice of the prophet that stirred his own people against him, agreed. Mathras led Andraste into an ambush where she was captured by Imperial agents, putting an end to her exalted march. Crowds of loyalists stood in the central square of Minrathous to watch Andraste's execution. By command of the Archon, she was burned at the stake in what the Imperium believed to be the most painful punishment imaginable. According to the Chantry, however, Andraste was instead purified, made whole by the flames, ascending to life at her Maker's side. By all accounts, there was only silence where they expected screams. At the sight of the prophet burning, the crowds were filled with profound guilt, as if they had participated in a great blasphemy. So moving was the moment that the Archon himself drew his sword and thrust it into the prophet's heart, ending her torment and leaving those assembled to consider the weight of what they had seen. Whereas the execution of Andraste was meant to be a symbol of defeat for the faith of the Maker, in truth it all but sealed the fate of the worship of the old gods, and paved the way for the spread of the Maker's chant. From the Tales of the Destruction of Thedas, by Brenda Genetivi, Chantry Scholar. And now, my friend, you can go on your expedition without having to worry about the dragon hurting you.
My own expedition, my own team. I can't wait to get going.
The dragon is dead, so don't worry about it. About the urn?
No, I haven't been able to go back. I am rereading all the books and manuscripts, though. Having been there, some cryptic passages are finally making sense.
Why haven't you left on the expedition?
Oh, so much preparation.
That's true.
I have to gather the right team, the right equipment. And with this blight and the trouble in Denerium, the Chantry simply cannot spare any Templars. I'm afraid I will have to wait until all this is over. This is where you come in, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Don't you wish Waylon was here?
He would be as excited as I. Such childlike enthusiasm, that boy. Anything I do from now on, anything I discover, I shall dedicate in his memory.
Okay. I shan't disturb you further, brother.
Oh, come by any time you like. After all, I owe this all to you.
Just keep writing. I enjoy reading your work.
Dwarven crafts. Fine dwarven crafts. Direct from Orthamar.
Damnation. Yes, indeed.
You see anything interesting? Oh, nice. Dear Heather, how are you? How are father and mother? I don't know why I asked this. It was made clear so many years ago that I am no child of theirs. Aww. You're my only family now, and I thank the Maker that you had love and courage enough to keep calling me sister. I am happy for you and overjoyed to hear of your upcoming nuptials. Count your blessings. I believe you have snagged yourself a fine lad, so young and already the owner of his own freehold. Soon you will start a family of your own. Oh, Heather, I do envy you, but perhaps I shall envy you for not much longer. We have hoped and prayed for something, anything. And now I see the prison bars begin to bend and sag. So much injustice has been done to my kind, and they cannot have dreamed that the Maker would allow it to continue. There is a change coming to the tower. I can feel it, and it both excites and terrifies me. I don't know when I shall write again, dear sister, but do not worry. If all goes well, perhaps no letters will be necessary. And you shall find me on your very doorstep. With much love, Gwendolyn. Okay.
shall be done.
Don't eat the cheese. Thanks, because I love cheese. And if I was going to eat something here, it would be the damn cheese.
I ever last night spoke to a merchant who just came from there. I heard there was another in Guaren. Folks are angry, that's for sure.
I'm angry. What the Regent's done, that just isn't right. You can't go treating Ferelden lords like lackeys.
Maybe so. Should talk about it after the Darkspawn are done.
Maybe the Regent isn't the only one who can do something about the Darkspawn. You ever think of that? What's to be done? What can we do?
Just keep your head down, that's what. And your wits about you.
Another victory for the Regent of Marcus Valley, so everyone's saying.
That just about settles it then, doesn't it? The Queen will have the banner on all lined up soon.
So I got this crappy old rundown bar. Which I'm not going to, basically, I'm not even going to basically extort anymore. And the one thing I really like to eat more than anything else and try out, the cheese, I can't because it's bad. Typical. Just typical. Just typical. What am I doing?
What comes, my friend?
Oh, never mind.
Blast and damnation. Horseman.
There we go.
Yes.
And you.
Yes.
On it.
Let me check something. Okay.
I had thought about what you said before, Shane. About slavery.
It is profitable, so I am led to believe.
It is wrong. And it is no more right to make a slave out of a golem. I think no one understood how golems were made, Shane. Perhaps we should have suspected, but no one knew. Golems were like spells. Useful.
I am useful. I'm better than any fireball, that I'm sure of.
It's not the same thing. When this is over, I will make certain that the Circle of Magi knows the truth. Your people should not be treated as objects.
I have no people. I mentioned the slavery because I knew it would be bothered.
You're incorrigible, Aunt.
But it still deserves to... You are a very perverse creature. You know this?
It almost wishes it had a control rod, no?
Oh, Aunt Shale. You shouldn't be making fun of her like
working
that.
hard to make enough equipment for all of the hunters. Our armaments will be superior to anything else you find in the battlefield.
I'd like to barter with you.
I am no merchant, but I have plenty that you may need.
Okay. Okay. See if Sarah has anything left to say.
And they're an Natitian, Grey Warden. Join us at the fire if you like, but haven't you got a war to get to?
I do. I should go.
Dareth Shiron.
One last statement?
Our clan gladly counts you as a friend. I hope my position as the new keeper will facilitate more contact with the outside world.
Hi, Arthas.
You have returned. Is there any chance you have news of Delilah?
Not yet, I'm afraid.
But the curse has been lifted, has it not? Delilah could be out there in the forest, returned to her true form.
I don't know. Anything is possible.
Then I need to look for her. Thank you for doing what you could. Now it falls on me to find her.